Hi, I'm Alison.
And I'm Taylor.
And we're the hosts of the Anxiety Chicks podcast, where we dive deep into the reality of anxiety, nutrition, and mental health.
Listen as we explore all things anxiety healing while keeping it real, including our own struggles with mental health.
We'll bring our expertise as healing professionals to the conversation while discussing the tools and strategies you need to heal the anxious mind.
Listen to the Anxiety Chicks on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Anxiety Chicks podcast. I'm Alison Sepanera.
And I'm Taylor.
And we're so excited to be back here for our Q&A, our monthly Q&A for October. I can't believe how fast everything's going. I feel like the summer was so fast. Now it's October. I don't know what I did in September.
September flew by, but I like that we're entering fall. I love fall.
I know. A lot of people are very excited for fall. I am too. I will say in the Philly area, it's still been feeling like summer the last couple of weeks, and I'm just like holding on to it, the endless summer. I'm such a summer baby, but I am excited for fall, like the holidays and all that stuff. I also just wanted to give a shout out to all of the new followers I've gotten in the last couple of weeks. I think there's like just people that have kind of jumped on the anxiety healer ship and leaving a lot of nice comments for me on my post, and some trolls too, which have been really lovely. So go follow me at the Anxiety Healer. It's for entertainment purposes, if anything. But yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to everybody. And people that have started listening to the Anxiety Chicks. I'd love for you all, if you're listening for the first time or you're a longtime listener and you haven't left us a review yet, please subscribe on YouTube, leave us a review, comment on YouTube, also Apple, Spotify, everywhere you get your podcast. We really would love to hear feedback from you. If you love it. And it also helps push our podcast out. So it really would just be helpful for a lot of people, not just us. Yeah. So without further ado, should we get into our questions this week?
Let's do it. Okay, I'm going to go first. So first question I have is, do you have any quick hacks for calming your nervous system in public? And I love this one because I feel like even for me, a lot of anxiety is more triggered. Like I feel like I got my panic attacks under control, but like the residual anxiety is very triggered by like crowds, overstimulation, definitely public settings. That's where it's like, okay, I need some tips for just like, like we've talked about before, when you're on the panic scale and you feel kind of like a 3 or 4, you really want to do some things to help yourself to not make it go to that 10. So for me, I like to do a lot of grounding through my senses. So even just like pressing my feet on the floor and noticing the pressure, or I'll find like 5 things in the room that are the color blue. And then my favorite lately has been just box breathing. I breathe in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4, and then repeat the cycle. No one even notices me doing any of these things. And one I did recently, which actually I'm like, okay, I should have done this more. Because you know how you're always told like, oh, if you're having a panic attack, like put an ice pack on your neck or something, or on your wrist. Well, if you're at a restaurant, you could literally just take like the water you're drinking, a cold water, and put your hand around the glass. No one will notice that's weird. Or even taking an ice cube and rubbing it on your wrist. Those things can just really ground you and kind of just regulate you to like, hey, and then also at the same time, like your thoughts being like, we're here, we're safe, there's nothing to be afraid of, we're just feeling odd sensations, but we're going to be okay and everything's fine. Environment is just a little bit different than what we're used to, but we're going to be okay. And so that really helps me.
Yeah, I would agree. I was just going to add on about the ice and the cold temperature if you didn't do that, because that has been a game changer for me and like every client that I work with. Whether it's an ice pack or you bring a water bottle with you, where if it's what is it called? A Yeti, or, a one that's insulated. So it keeps actually like an ice cube for hours. I will put ice cubes sometimes with just a little bit of water in my water bottle, and then it keeps the ice cubes. And so I can just take an ice cube from there. So you like always have an ice cube. And I think what can be helpful is actually holding it in your hand and breathing and counting to 10. as you hold it in your hand, because the cold temperature is going to really shock your brain back into the present. Um, so that would be like one of the best hacks that I think. But yeah, all of those are awesome.
Yeah. Definitely, you have to also just believe you're capable of in that moment. You can center yourself and bring yourself back. And I think just knowing that, like knowing I'm not going to lose control, I've felt this before, I'm going to be okay. It just, all these things are just all about centering yourself and grounding yourself into the present moment.
Yeah, which actually kind of filters into the question that I got from a lot of people this week, which was how do you ground yourself? And honestly, those are pretty much the examples that I would give. Using your senses, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is huge. Cold temperatures, anything you can do also for me. And sometimes this doesn't work for everybody, but changing your environment can be huge. So if you're somewhere like in a part of your house and it's happening, go to a different part, go outside, like go step on your deck, go step to another room. Or if you're out somewhere and you're in a space with a lot of people and it's overstimulating, like go move yourself from that specific environment somewhere else where you feel safer, maybe with one person or something like that. Um, and you have to remember too with grounding, these are really great tools to use in the moment when you can recognize that maybe your anxiety levels are going up and you're starting to feel panicky. Like, you know what happens to your body when a panic attack is coming on, right? And you can kind of notice that. But you really want to practice some of these tools too when you're inside your window of tolerance. So, like the five senses exercise and the breath work exercises, all of them should actually be consistently practiced throughout your day on like a daily basis. So even if you have to set an alarm or a timer or schedule it in your phone to take a 2 to 5 minute break a couple times throughout the day to ground yourself through your senses and do that exercise, or to practice the box breathing or practice alternate nostril breathing or the 4, 7, 8. I mean, whatever breath work looks like for you and all those exercises, to really, really create change in your brain and create pathways that are different than what your body just automatically knows, you have to actually really do a lot of those exercises within your window of tolerance, which means you're at like a level 1 to 4. Like if your anxiety is at a level 1 to 4 to 5, 5 is going to when it's going to jump, and then you're not going to feel like you can think as rational. So if you can really train your brain to just know those habits, create a habit of breathing that way and using your senses, it's going to be a lot easier for you when you do jump to the 5, 6, 7, 8 for you to break out of it.
Yeah. No, I that you won't understand how to you won't understand the benefits of grounding unless you do that practice. You're totally right, because I think a lot of times you're like it's just not working, and it's like no, you have to like show your brain how helpful it is. But okay, next question. How do you handle the fear of waiting for medical results? And actually, we're doing a update episode next week, but I have so much to share just in the therapy I've been doing, EMDR. I literally feel like a different person, but I actually did get an OCD diagnosis, and my brain has been opened so much to different things that work for OCD versus me focusing solely on just like health anxiety treatment. And so I think for the longest time I was so stuck in like health anxiety, health anxiety, health anxiety, but I think health anxiety is kind of a component of that obsessive compulsive disorder. And what I'm learning is this is a technique I learned about, and I'm posting a TikTok on it today, but how do you handle the fear of waiting for medical results is utilizing the result window method. And so basically our brains, when we do struggle with that obsessive, intrusive, just thought, you're like, why am I just looping on this thought? Like I'm looping on waiting for these results. It's so worst case scenario. What you do is you say to yourself, the results aren't here yet. This is outside my window. So, like, imagine you're in a house that is outside my window. I don't know the results. I don't know if they're good. I don't know if they're bad. It's outside my window. And then instead of rehearsing those worst case scenarios over and over, you almost like stop the worst case scenario in its track that's coming to your brain, and you refocus your brain back to what's inside your window. And so these are the things that you can control and that you can work on today. So that's taking care of myself. Like we said, utilizing the grounding techniques that we talked about, I can meditate today. I can move my body. I can focus on all the things that I know are good for me and they're inside my window. And then, it's not perfect. So your brain might go back to those worst case scenarios. And if you do it, you catch it and you say, hey, that's outside. That's outside the window. Let's go back. Let's go back to now. And that's what's inside. So you can't shrink the waiting period, but you can shrink how much it steals the joy of your life. And that's what I'm learning. I'm learning a lot about, I think for the longest time, people want to fight the thoughts and people want to, I want to get to a place in my life where like I never have these thoughts. And it's like, okay, that might never happen. But what we can do is like when we feel them coming, we can stop them in their tracks and we can say, hey, we know a really good method and it's the result window method. And I'm going to use that today. And just reminding ourselves of all these things and breaking the patterns and almost just talking to the brain because you're going to have thoughts. You're going to have, if you struggle with like me in any way, they're going to come, and accepting that is also a part. And then you feel yourself kind of just saying like, it is what it is. I actually had this yesterday with my eye doctor. They took a picture of like the back of my eye. And I was looking at the screen. Like, one, I don't know why they leave you alone with that. Because one, I'm not an eye doctor, so I can't tell you what I saw. But when I was looking at it, I was like, what's that big like red spot? I'm like, that don't look right. And my brain wanted to do that thing where it thinks it like knows what it's talking about and it thinks it knows what diagnosis that is. And I said, nope, nope, we're going to handle that. Whatever is to come is to come. I stopped my brain in its tracks. I was alone for 5 minutes waiting for the doctor. Could have panicked, could have went like I usually used to. Heart rate racing, blah, 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 all the things. Da, 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 da. Doctor comes in, she looks at it. She's like, it's great. It looks great. It looks perfect. I'm not a doctor. I can't predict these things, but my brain might tell me that we think we know everything. But I was able to, in that moment, tell myself, what can I focus on right now? Like, oh, I'm so thankful. Like, after this appointment, I have the eye doctor. That'll be awesome. I mean, after this appointment, I have therapy. I can talk about it to her there. Whatever they tell me, whatever is to come, I can hash it there. Um, so yeah, result
That
window method.
I love it. I love that. It's so funny you said that because I the for our update episode next week, I just had an exam done too, and I'm in that state of sort of waiting. And even with what happened back in the earlier in the summer with my mammogram and stuff like that, and how that that's a really good exercise that I like that you put a name to it. Because essentially what you're doing, which is what I teach a lot in CBT as well, is practicing how to become an observer of your thoughts. So you become more detached from them, which essentially is what
Mhm.
that exercise is doing, right? It's helping you become detached. Like the thoughts you're having are outside the window. So it's kind of separate, the window separating you from the thought. And
It's almost like a
become,
visual thing too. You can almost
Mhm.
see the thought, like when you're detached from it, you can literally almost take the thought, put it outside the window, and then just shut the window. And like when you visualize that, like adding that visual component, because like I feel like it's one thing to be told like, hey, oh, when you have thoughts, like don't fight them, just like accept them in. But when you put like this, for me at least, when I hear like, hey, it's outside the window, we're going to focus on what's inside the window, I can visualize that. And then when I visualize it, I'm like, hey, you're right. Like it's true. Like
100%.
there's nothing I can do today. I don't know. It's a 50-50. I don't know if it's good and I don't know if it's bad. So looping on if it's bad does nothing good for me. So we're going to focus on what we can today.
Yeah. And the visual, I think, is not just you, it's for the brain, the way the brain works, right? Because um, that's why visualization exercises and like guided imagery and closing your eyes and using that as part of your meditation is so effective in actually rewiring the way you think. Because as you become detached from them, you actually have more access to your rational brain. So you like the window technique is one amazing visualization. The other one that I use is a lot of therapists use is like looking at your thoughts as like they're clouds. Right. So you're like laying on the ground and you're looking up at the sky and you can just see them passing by, but they're like up there, right? They're far away, but they're up there and they're kind of moving around all the time. But the one I love too, that I think I just created this because I didn't know, I just like made it up one day because it was like, this is what it feels like to me to feel detached from my thoughts is I'm standing next to like a lake and there's a bunch of fish swimming in the lake. Some are really small and they're just swimming really fast, kind of like goldfish. Some are really small, some are really big, like sharks. Some like jump up at you sometimes and you're there and they can't, like, sometimes they jump out and they like land next to you and they try and like control you, but really they're just all swimming around and some are bigger and you have more control over kind of like look what you're doing and you're like looking at them and like what they do. And for some reason I maybe like that for myself because I love being outside. And actually, I think of my thoughts being in this lake that, like, I'm not going to go into. So I'm just going to actually do some really calming things outside the lake for myself. Like, that's my safe space, is like outside the lake. So it gives me a visualization, right? That's my visualization that really helps me because it makes me feel like, oh, okay, that's where they are, but I'm outside of it right now. And I'm actually on land where I'm feeling safe with all these other, techniques I have. So, whatever helps you feel like detached from them more and more, do that consistently. Just do that consistently. Do those
Yes.
visualizations. There's wonderful visualization exercises too on Insight Timer, which is my favorite meditation app. You guys know this, not sponsored, but I wish they would be because I'm obsessed with them. I've been telling everybody about Insight Timer for years. Um, but yeah, there's amazing, amazing guided imagery on there.
Yeah, it's very helpful.
Okay. So going into the next question, which is actually a little bit of an update, I guess. I'm not going to go all the way into it until next week, but I have been sharing a lot more of my dating life on my Instagram page. It's been like blowing up. People have lots of opinions, which is so funny, and for me, I love it. Um, so someone asked me, would I consider dating a man who's 55 and older? Now, I'm 45, and this is such a touchy subject for a lot of people. Because, and when I say touchy subjects, I mean everybody has different opinions about it, and it really just depends on the preference. I don't know right now. That wouldn't be like a red flag. It's not a red flag for me. I mean, I'm 45, so there's a lot of really young 55-year-olds and a lot of old 55-year-olds, if you know what I mean, right? There's just, and it really, right now at this time in my life, it really, I'm trying not to look at eight now. Okay, if a guy's like 30, I'm sorry, that's a little young for me, so I'm not going to do like very, or someone's like 80, like I don't know what I do with an 80-year-old, but there's a lot of young 80-year-olds. But I would say probably my range right now would be from like 38, 39 to 55. And I wouldn't say, oh, he's 56, goodbye, but that's kind of my range right now. So yeah, I would consider it. And then the same person asked me, would I be interested in dating a New Yorker? And here's what I say if you're listening, to this wonderful person who asked me this. No, because I did a long distance relationship 3 years ago and I'm not about to put myself into that again. Sorry, that's just part of my thing. That's just part of what I'm clear about now. I know I really don't want to date someone further than like a half hour to an hour to me. And someone might be like listening to this and saying, oh, girl, your pool is going to be so small. You're never going to meet anyone, blah, blah, blah. But I'm sorry. That's just what I'm clear about. And listen, if something happened, I'm not going to be like, definitely no. But right now, that's my criteria. If I was away in New York one weekend and I met someone who I was completely enamored with and I felt like it was such a strong connection, of course I'd be like, yeah, maybe we can chat sometime again. I don't know if in my mind I'd be like, oh my gosh, I want to start dating this person, but it's just not what I'm looking for at the moment. But more on that and more on my dates next week. So stay tuned for
Going back to the age thing, I think that that's so funny because I don't know if you are you watching The Golden Bachelor?
oh my gosh, you know what? I have to catch up on that. I loved the
So I'm
first
not,
one, so I have to.
I haven't I haven't watched this one, but I saw like a little interview thing and he was saying any woman, I can't remember what age it was, if it was 55 or 60, but he said she's leaving first night. And people were like, wait a second, there's people who are 45 who seem and look older than people who are 60. Like, literally, there's people who take care of themselves and just want to be young, have a young spirit about them. It's so interesting, but people were like up in arms about it because he was like immediately sending, he was like, I'm sending them home. Like, it's my preference and it's what I want. And I'm like, you're judging someone based off of a number. Like, that's crazy.
Listen, I
Especially because
did
he
hear
gets to
that.
see them all. Like, he gets to see them all. Like, don't look at them as their age. Like, just meet them. And if you're like, okay, you're meeting the criteria of you're too old and you seem too old for me, that's valid. But like, immediately, if your age just pops up, you're getting sent home. I was like, that's wild.
So this is what was so funny about that, because I did watch the first, I think, like 10 minutes of it. He basically was like getting canceled after that, after
Yeah.
that comment.
Yes.
He was, and I get it, because how old is he? And he's like, oh, I don't want any woman over 50.
He
He
said,
basically said,
no, he said
I
he
don't want
takes
anyone
care
over.
of himself and likes to stay fit and young. So he doesn't want someone who's
Yes.
going to like bring him down from that.
Yes. And he said, I don't want anyone who has had any hip replacements
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
is like 55 and older. So he said like certain things that actually is like, okay, okay, dude. Like,
Like, you could have a hip replacement at
that's
30.
ridiculous.
Like,
Exactly. So that's why people were, he actually sounded like a douchebag. So
yeah.
the first 10 minutes of the season was so funny because it's like, it's him in the background while they're filming him, walking around the villa or something. And he's like, you know, I said some things I really didn't mean on the radio last year, and I really didn't mean it, and I can't believe that I said that. Like, trying to redeem himself. And guess what? All of the women on the show are literally over 55. They're
You're
all older.
kidding. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Good for
Because you
them.
think that they're going to do that? They wouldn't have
Yeah,
chosen him.
I
That's
literally was
ridiculous.
like, I was like, what are you saying right now? First of all, like, you're gonna have these women come there and just because of their age they have to go home night one. Like, who are you? But yeah,
100%.
I'm not shocked that he was trying to backtrack. I mean, I read his word for word and I was like, that's bad.
I mean, it was, yeah, it was, nobody would say it was good. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's funny though, because, listen, as a woman of a certain age in my 40s, this is what we deal with all the time. I mean, when older men, like men my age, they can date in the women in their 20s and 30s, but that's not really a man
Yeah.
I'm going to want to be with
Yeah.
anyway, who's into that. So, but yeah, I've been out on a, anyway, we're going to save that for next week when I update everybody on what's going on. So, but
Okay. I think it's my question now. Okay. What small daily ritual actually makes a difference for you? For me, what I'm learning is it's actually the basics and following through with the basics. So that might sound silly to you, but when I do my full morning routine, I am the happiest version of myself. I am the most focused. The rest of my day is the time management, everything just flows. As silly as making your bed is, if you just start getting in a habit of doing it, you feel just there's little things that just click inside your brain that just make you feel like, I got this. I'm on top of this. I feel good. Sunlight in the morning. I have added in 15-minute wind up and a 15-minute rundown. So basically what that is like in the morning I take 15 minutes and I just go through cuz like things being cluttered, I can't focus. Like, I don't know about you, but working at home when your house is a mess and you have all these chores you need to do, that makes my brain go wild and I'll like think about it the whole day and it'll kind of fog my focus. And so I do this thing now where I give myself 15 minutes, whatever we can accomplish in 15 minutes. And usually that's like I clean down the counters. I'm able to get some dishes running, maybe get a load of laundry started. But I'm able to do all that. And I do that in the morning. And I mean, if I have big chores, I'll take like during my lunch break and do something. But like these are just like little things that bother me. So I'll do that 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes at night. And it has changed my mood and has made a huge difference for me. And It's just crazy. Even just down to like my breakfast in the morning, I used to wait until I got hungry. I stopped doing all that because I've done a lot more research now into women's hormones, and we just aren't made for intermittent fasting. We just really aren't. Most of us aren't. If you're anything like me and you live in chronic kind of stress, like you're wired to more of a a stressed out nervous system, you really don't want to intermittent fast. That's putting way more stress and taxing your body more. When I do electrolytes, high protein, get a meal in almost before I'm hungry, I feel so much more balanced. My blood sugar's balanced. So for me, it's literally the little things, the basics, just doing them. Even if you don't want to, it's easy to just go through the motions and get it done. You'll feel 10 times better.
Yeah. And now I know it's really hard for some people to actually have any type of appetite in the morning. There's a lot of people I work with that they have no appetite because they're very anxious in the morning and they're just like busy and they have to go, 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 or they they don't want to eat if they have to go somewhere and they know they're going to have IBS or something's going to happen. So I think you kind of said something like protein. There's a lot of great protein like powders you can make like a smoothie or
Yeah.
something, that will give you some electrolytes or some protein that you don't have to physically chew. That's what I do a lot. I found this really like natural protein drink that I love. And um and also with intermittent fasting, I don't know. I think everyone do their own research on it because I do it every now and then and it's literally cured my reflux. Literally, I don't take any reflux medicine anymore. So it's essentially can maybe be different for a lot of different people. So everyone just do their own research on kind of their own experience.
It
But
could help you with your reflux, but it's not good for women's hormones.
yeah, there you go. So,
Yeah.
but
But
again,
that's a give or take. That's a pro.
everybody just
Like
do.
if it works for you and you feel good, then totally. But if you're like almost looking at it, I think a lot of people look at it as, oh,
To
I'm
lose
boosting
weight.
my metabolism or
Oh,
weight
yeah.
loss. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
100%.
That's more stress on a woman's body.
Yes. And especially since there's so many different variables as far as who like how people fast. Like some people go like 18 hours or so. I don't know. There's a lot of like people say the different types of hours. Some people will do it for a day and it's just you really need, yeah, I think just do your research on that for sure before you do start or stop anything like that. Um but yeah, I think daily habits are huge because even just like if you decide to try one, like you want to change one habit, like start really small. I remember one thing I read in Dr. Nicole LaPera, who is the holistic psychologist on Instagram. Her book came out a while ago. So good, How to Do the Work. And she talks about one of her cases she had of a girl who was really severely depressed. And she just decided that she's going to really try and commit to one change daily and really commit to it for like 30 days or something. And what the change was is that she woke up, she drank a glass of water every morning. That was the first habit. And literally, she talks about how this changed her life, how she just committed to doing this one goal that for a lot of us might be like, okay, what? That's so small. Okay, drinking a glass of water. But for her, it was huge. And she felt more and more motivated as she woke up and actually achieved that small goal that she was able to start setting more goals and little habits and eventually actually really progressing to um, function and act and feel less anxious and depressed. And so that's what I mean. Like that's like drinking a glass of water in the morning, right? We know that water is hydrating and water is very good for you. So maybe it means like making your bed in the morning, right? Maybe it means, you only hit your snooze button once and then you tell yourself to count down from 5 and you get out of bed. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get out of bed. So think about what works for you. I think that's something that could be really helpful if you're seeing a therapist. Talk to with a therapist about. Maybe you can kind of I know it's really good in therapy. They can hold you accountable, right? You're going to see them the next week or something, and so maybe you talk about that, what that looks like. Do a little treatment plan for yourself. But I think that is so important. Like small daily rituals and habits are literally a game changer in healing anxiety or depression. All right. So I have two last questions that shouldn't take too long. So someone asked me, and I just wanted to get to this: how can I manage my anxiety as a medical student in school when I can't have time for me and I have exams? And I just want to say, whoever wrote this, like you are doing the Lord's work when you're in medical school. I have no idea even what it would be like to have to go, and my brain is so not science, that the amount you have to read and memorize and the exams you have to take, and then the rotations you have to do and the practice you have to do. Obviously it's like 7 or 10 years long or something, right? Med school. And I first want to just validate that that has to feel so overwhelming for me. I mean, just thinking about it feels very overwhelming. But of course you probably are doing it because you love science, right? You love what you do and you love helping people and you want to learn and research and all that. But I think you have to remember, it doesn't matter what job you're doing or what you're doing in life or what happens in life, because there's probably people listening to this that feels like they're in med school every day with their kids because they're taking care of like 5 of their kids and they have no time to do anything for themselves, and they're putting out fires all the time and all this stuff, so you're in a you're whoever's listening to this that's in the stage of life where it feels like there's never any time, and I say that in quotations. You have to make the time.
I was literally just thinking that. I'm like, there's things you have to cut
you,
out. Like,
you have to make the
I've
time.
learned that too. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
you
that might
can't.
mean that my friend has 5 kids, and sometimes that looks like she has to wake up at 4:30 a.m. And she feels better when she does that.
100%. You have to sacrifice, and I'm not saying you're going to not take an exam or something and go to the gym. No. But you have to think about your, like we just talked about, habits. What are your habits during the day? What is it that How much time are you really spending on these studying exams that you have to? Or is there a way that you could maybe do that differently that would be more helpful for you? Like, different study people are good with different study habits, right? Is Are there people in your med school program that you can study with? Maybe there's a group that you could study, maybe that would help a little bit. Um and I mean, listen, I know I am not going to sit here and say I know about med school, because the person might be listening being like, nope, nope, not possible, not possible. But you're going to have to be creative here. And you're going to have to also remember that this is temporary, right? So you're in med school, it is intense. And you have to remind yourself that that's temporary. You're going to come out of this with a wealth of knowledge. It's intense right now. Try and be creative with how you can regulate your nervous system. Go to therapy. If that's the only time you get, go see a therapist. Move your body. You got to figure out ways to move your body. I would suggest not anything like hit related or high intensity related. I would say try and go to a yoga class or something that's going to quiet your mind and really teach your body how to calm itself with the breath. So you're in already in an intense environment in med school, I can imagine. It's very intense. Like, you have to be there and you have to do this long hours, all this stuff. Try not to heighten that cortisol with any high intensity workouts. That would be my suggestion. So try and really just teach your body the best way you can teach it, and be creative to get the time to do it, to learn how to regulate and to learn how to activate the parasympathetic part of your nervous system. And that would just be my suggestion. And I'm sorry if I'm totally off base here, but I want you to be okay as you move through this.
No job, no money, nothing is worth your mental health, is what I've learned. And so that can come with, if you have to take med school a little bit slower, if you have to set boundaries with things, it's not going to be easy. Like Allison said, you're getting you're becoming a doctor. It's tough, but I think that you really have to take the time to make time and figure out what that looks like.
Yeah, and listen, if you really feel like your anxiety is affecting your ability to study or to sleep or to eat or to get to work or to stay at work or anything like that, if it's affecting your daily functioning in your daily life, you do need to go see someone professionally. Like you should be seeing, if any kind of mental health is affecting your daily responsibilities, go and talk to somebody, really.
Another thing you could do is you could take like all your classes, all your exams, uh all like your daily schedule, everything you have to get done in the day. Take that and put it into like ChatGPT or something and say create me a 6 to 10 p.m. Schedule, and knowing I have to get in all these things today, and it can show you little slots where you do have time to take time for yourself.
That couldn't hurt. Why not? Yeah, seriously. All right. Okay, the last question. Okay, I love this because this person definitely asked this question because of my latest reels. How do you manage or overcome beauty standards? So, like I said, and I'll talk about more, I've been sharing a lot about my dating life and just like the before and after the date and like what I wear and like all the stuff. And, you know, a huge piece of me being vulnerable is sharing that I don't feel as confident in my looks as I used to when I was younger, which literally is happening to every single person I know who is in their 40s, because that's when you really have this first shift of your skin being different and your perimenopause is creating, fat in different places and muscles are different and all this stuff. Okay. So from my perspective, it's been very hard for me to figure out how to feel confident and love my body and the beauty standards even more now, because I worked so hard on doing that in my 20s and 30s when I actually really hated myself and really was feeling disgusting and ugly. I don't like those words, but that was the truth of what was going on in my brain. And I look back now at pictures of me and I'm like, oh my God, I had the best body. It is so crazy. I just think about, wow, I look so skinny there. Oh my God, my skin looks great. Wow, I have a great tan. Oh my gosh. And it's just so crazy because back then, I would have given anything to actually think that about myself. But in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't even really matter. Like, looks, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Okay, that's so cliche, but what I'm learning is it doesn't matter what age you are, or women are going to have insecurities. Every single woman, we have insecurities about our looks and about a lot of things in our life. Part of that's the patriarchy, but besides that, there are so many pressures for women to look a certain way, and there just has been for decades. And so I have gotten to a point where sharing my story about it is actually what's really helping me. So I shared a post today where I shared like 6 different pictures of me from the last 4 months where I'm smiling. And I'm like, one is in the car, one's out to dinner, one is I don't remember, like at a game or something. And I remember I looking at these pictures last. This is why I did this post. I was looking at these pictures the other day and I thought, oh my gosh, I remember I was smiling for this picture and I felt so lonely there. And then I said, oh, I was smiling at this picture, I remember, but um, I felt so upset on the ride home from that weekend with my girlfriends because I felt like I was talking too much and they were like talking about me. And then there was another picture where I really felt like I was taking a hike and I was smiling. I took a selfie of myself and I remember that day I was feeling so lonely. So it was just this kind of like light bulb moment of me thinking like, wow, like we're so used to just smiling for pictures when we don't get to tell our stories behind the smile. And a lot of times it can look like we're really happy and everything's good, and it's not. And so I think that happens a lot with the way that we perceive our beauty as women. I'm going to talk as this as women, honestly, because I'm talking from experience. Um, so for me, looking at those pictures and understanding that I was going through something really heavy then, but also still kind of putting myself out there and still trying to move through some of the moments where I felt those heavy feelings and really trying to put myself out there, even if I didn't feel like I looked the best, or I was lonely, or I was sad, or I was feeling unlovable. And I really tried to surround myself with people and still do the things that I know ground me, like hiking or nature. I was not feeling that great, but that day I decided to kind of take action and just move forward. And I think sometimes you have to remind yourself that you can have a fulfilling and amazing life, and maybe you're not going to look and reach the standard that you're ever going to. And that also kind of connects to perfectionism a little bit. So you might want to work on, see if you internalize any thoughts about perfectionism if you struggle with that, because the standards of whatever perfect looks like doesn't exist. Okay. And so one person's going to think I'm cute. One person's not going to think I'm cute. Beauty really is in the eye of the beholder. So I'm just learning that. I'm trying to say kinder things to my body and my brain. Like, I've looked in the mirror naked before and I've thanked every body part of mine. And I've said, thighs, thank you so much. You actually help me walk every day. The stomach is my area that I'm so mean to a lot, and I don't want to be mean to it because it's part of me. And I'll say, you know what, stomach, you went through a lot, like, of with your IBS and a lot of stuff with your stomach issues, and you've been doing such a good job like helping me digest things lately, and I'm thankful for you. Thank you for doing that. So just think really about the things that your body does for you, that nurtures you and gives you nutrition, and helps you function. And I think about it like that. So I don't know.
I think I think that it's interesting how, even the studies of people who are overweight or obese and they lose all this weight, they still look in the mirror and they see that obese person. Because I think when we really dial it in, and kind of like what you said, you look back at pictures and you're like, God, I would give anything to look like that. But in that moment, you probably hated yourself too. In that moment, you were probably picking apart some other piece of you, because at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with, you could literally just be perfection and you'll find something else. And I know this too personally, because I remember when I was younger, it was like, once I get rid of my hormonal acne, the world better watch out. Like, it better watch out. And then there's something else, right? Because if you don't love yourself within, and truly love yourself and know, for me, I was created perfectly by God. I am enough just as I am. I am beautifully and wonderfully made. And I have to truly believe that about myself, that I am so unique and just how I am. No change, no standard, nothing. Just as I am. And accepting that and getting to a place of literally radical acceptance, it's hard, but I think the more we chase beauty standards and losing the 5 pounds, fixing this, fixing that, you'll just end up exhausting yourself. 10 years will fly by and you'll look back at a picture of yourself where it all began and you'll say, I'd give anything to look like that person again.
Mm. Well, how
But
about
in
how
that
about when we
moment, you didn't love that person.
well, how about even when we did that episode about, when I talked about aging and how it's a privilege, and
Hmm.
how, now as I am looking at and comparing my looks and like beauty standards with age, it gets even stronger. And I think about how aging is such a privilege now, and how, like, sometimes that's what I try and grasp onto when my brain starts spiraling, especially when I see like women that are 10 years older than me and look 10 years younger than me. And that's like, I just had my therapy session about that today. I'm like, how is there women that look so much younger than me? And I'm like, that is something I'm really, really struggling with lately.
There will
Um,
always be someone prettier, always be someone fitter, always be someone with better genetics. I mean, my husband, if y'all saw what he eats sometimes and has a six pack, you would be like, how? Like it's just genetics. Like it's crazy. His whole family there. His mom's a great example. She is beautiful and she's like I think 58. She looks 30. I mean, and she doesn't get stuff done.
Oh
It's
my
just
God, that's amazing.
genetics. I mean, but you also have things that are that they don't have. And so like I said, it's back to that like inner of like I love me. I love just how I am because there's always going to be someone.
Yeah, I also think that it can be really effective to connect with your inner child when you're feeling really insecure, because there's some little girl in there that just feels insecure about something, and she feels
Mhm.
vulnerable, and she feels, you know, maybe she's not enough the way she is. And so think about how you can connect with her and what you can say to her that can help her feel less alone in that. And you need to talk to her. So like I'll take a picture of myself sometimes from when I was younger and I knew I was being bullied and being made fun of, and I'll I'll talk to that little girl and tell her how special she is. And this can be really emotional, by the way, guys. If you get a picture of yourself when you were little and you went through a lot of stuff, connecting and having a conversation with that younger version of you can be emotional, but just like stick with it and really try and work through it and let the feelings come and cry if you need to and all of that, because that little child inside of you needs some nurturing. So all of that stuff together, I'd say try and practice for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was a good
All
October
right.
Q&A.
It sure was. All right, you guys, we will be back next week. Don't worry. Don't worry. I was going to say, don't forget to submit your questions for November at any time if you want on the Anxiety Chicks Instagram. You can DM us, and we will be back next week. Love you all.
Bye.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us today.
We hope this episode reminded you that you're not alone and healing is always possible.
If something we shared helped you, the best way to support the show is to leave a review or share this episode with a friend who needs it.
And make sure you're following us on Instagram at The Anxiety Chicks for more support between episodes.
We're just two chicks on our own healing journeys, cheering you on every step of the way.
Until next time.
Take a deep breath. You've got this.